Hey guys, welcome back to this Living With podcast. Today I'm recording an episode that is going to be part of a new series I'm doing, which is called PhoneAFriend. And so it's pretty self-explanatory, but I'm basically going to call someone and we're going to have a discussion about whatever topic is relevant, whatever topic we feel like should be talked about. So today I'm going to be calling one of my friends. She's called Dia, and she does a lot for her community. She does a lot in general, but particularly for her community. And as a young person, I think it's important for us to talk about what we do, because a lot of us have this stigma attached to us where, people say young people don't do anything, blah, blah, blah. So that's why I'm having her featured on this podcast.
Hey,
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Okay, so we're going to start this conversation then.
Okay, cool.
So first thing, what is it that you do or you think you do in your local community?
So I've been part of the Citizens UK group for about 5 years now, and it's a group that believes that if people come and work together, then they can really have an impact on their communities and even like the country. So we hold politicians to account, and we focused on topics like the housing crisis and the refugee crisis. And yeah, I think Citizens UK is such a lovely group because it's such a big mix of people from like their local churches, from schools, and so on and so forth. They all come together to try and have an impact on the areas they live in, and it's such a lovely thing to see such a big group of people come together to try and make change for the better.
So how did you get involved? Like, how did you hear about Citizen?
So I came across it through my school. I didn't originally know what it was, but I went to the first session and it was a small group of about 7 of us. And yeah, I didn't really know what I was getting myself into, but it grew on me really quickly because I'm really passionate about just helping people. It really inspires me. Like, the one thing that Citizens does for me, it gives me hope for our community. And like, you've seen recently how there's stories of like London becoming really unsafe, and teenagers are like becoming more troubled apparently, which I don't believe. But it gives me hope to know that there are people out there, so many people out there that want to help their communities. I think it doesn't require much work, but it requires you to be motivated to do stuff.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't need to like attend every session, because obviously people have other things going on and it shouldn't get in the way of your life. It shouldn't have a huge impact to the point where it stresses you out. Like, nobody should feel stressed out by giving back to their community, because you're part of your community. And so if it's to the detriment of yourself, obviously it's not good for your community. But I think it runs on people staying motivated and staying positive, which is an awesome outlook on life. The refugee evening that we had was such a lovely thing, because it was just a group of people coming together to hear about stories that are so kind of, they seem so distant to us because
we've never experienced that.
Like, not many people, like no one that I know of has been a refugee. And so it seems like us and them, in a sense, they seem like a distant group to us that we don't know much about. But hearing stories about it felt so much more tangible and personal, and it was such a moving thing because it's so kind of contrasting to the worlds we live in. It seems so different. They've fled violence, they've fled war, and we're here, we're living our lives comfortably in school, being able to have the freedoms that we have, and it's such a stark contrast to see. It was a really moving time, and it was lovely to see how it impacted people, and people wanted to know more about the refugee crisis, and that was such a great thing, and it was such a wonderful evening for me.
So do you think young people do enough for their community and the people around them?
That's a really difficult question, because I know the people that I surround myself with. I'd like to think that they are lovely people, and they do a lot for their communities. They help in classrooms, they volunteer at like LGBT centres, and I used to do youth council back in the day, and that I was surrounded by such lovely people who were so willing to change things for the better. But at the same time, I think young people these days, the world has become more stressful, and I don't blame them for needing to take care of themselves more instead of putting their effort into something that takes a long time to feel the benefits of, if that makes sense. Like, you don't see the outcome immediately of you helping your community. You don't get that satisfaction immediately, and I think sometimes I feel like young people should do more. But at the same time, we're kind of limited in a sense. We're always belittled. Older people always think less of us for some reason. They think we're the generation that's not bothered anymore. Like, we're just on our phones, we're just on social media. And that perception has stopped us from flourishing, from growing. And not to say that all young people are either like social media crazy or they're the most like giving people ever, because you need to find a balance of the two. Because if you're always self-sacrificing, you're going to burn out.
You have no time for yourself.
And that's not a healthy way to live. But if on the other hand you're very like self-centered in a way, like you're very like about your personal needs instead of the needs of others, then both extremes nobody gets. You don't feel kind of at peace with yourself.
You're not happy with yourself.
Because I feel like, to me, there's this internal conflict of I should be helping others, I need to take care of my family, my friends, my community. But at the same time, I know that I get burnt out really easily. I struggle with finding the balance between the two. And I think because young people today have so many pressures on them, education and their own personal issues with identity and self-esteem, I think some people can't find the balance. And not to say that that's a bad thing, because young people are finding themselves in their teenage years. And so I think it's fair to let them kind of explore and find what they love, because if you're giving back to your community but you're not passionate about it, there's no point.
There's no point. It doesn't come from the heart.
And you don't feel fulfilled from doing what helps the community, but you need to feel that sense of satisfaction in order to benefit yourself and to benefit others.
How do you think like being a part of Citizen has changed you as a person? Because a lot of people say that when they go into this stuff, it's sort of, it not only makes them more mature, but it makes them more considerate and sensitive of what's going on around them. Like they become more willing to listen to people and to help people. So how do you think this has changed you?
I think my outlook on life has become a lot more broadened. Before, I didn't really know about kind of current affairs that weren't in the UK. And my perception on life was just quite narrow. But now I kind of understand that there's so many kind of structures to the world and to our communities. Like, we're facing the housing crisis at the moment. Like, I would say I'm middle class, but then I forgot about like the struggles that people had to face on a daily basis to do with their housing situations. It was like I felt quite closed off.
Yeah.
But now I feel like I have a more general kind of outlook on life, and that's made me a more well-rounded person, and I'm really, really grateful for that, because I think I've become more compassionate, and I think that's one of my biggest personality traits now. Like, people know me, I think, for
yeah, they do.
yeah, I don't know, I think people know me for being compassionate, and that makes me really happy. I'm really grateful to have the experience of Citizens, because I feel motivated to do it. I love helping people, and I can do that on such a tangible scale. I can see the outcomes of the progress that we made, and I feel like not a better person, but I feel more fulfilled with what I've done, and I feel like I'm helping people, even if it's not direct, in a sense, like generally, because Citizens UK kind of focuses on changing laws and policies. And so even if it doesn't affect me, I know I've helped others, and I'm so grateful and happy about that.
When it comes to like young people and knowing what's going on around them, so you said that Citizens has helped you sort of broaden your horizons, like to know about more things that are going on around you. But do you think we know enough? And if not, how do you think we can educate ourselves? Because I know that for me, I kind of have to go out of my way to find out what's going on. Like I have to download the app on my phone with the news, like search for things. But how do you think we can educate ourselves and learn more about what's going on? So for example, with the housing crisis, I don't think a lot of young people understand what's actually going on. A lot of them think, okay, by the time I'm 25, I'm going to have a house. So how do you think we can just learn more about what's going on?
Yeah, I think it's really difficult, because we're in an age where kind of social media and the internet has taken over. But at the same time, that's a really good thing, because information gets spread really quickly, really easily, and it's really accessible. But kind of the knowledge we get from that can be really easily manipulated to kind of favor, whether it being like a political stance or whatever else. So even though the internet is such a useful and powerful tool, it's really easy to get kind of trapped in that circle of manipulation and falling for like things that aren't necessarily true. I think that like educating yourself is so important, because going out of your way to kind of research things makes you more whole as a person.
Yeah.
But it's really difficult at the same time, because you need to kind of understand that everything has bias. And so you need to look at things from different angles, and that's really difficult to do because that's a lot of time and a lot of effort for yourself. But I think like staying up to things daily, so like the 1 minute news on the BBC website is a really useful thing because it's short, it's snappy, it's quick. But I honestly think that it would be better if schools would educate pupils on kind of current affairs more, because you get a far more like in-depth analysis of kind of what's going on if you look at things from a kind of critical and analytical perspective. Like I go to politics club at the school, and when people start talking about Syria or Palestine, I really don't know much, and it worries me because there's such prevalent issues.
Yeah, so much going on.
And they've been going on for so long. Yeah, it's just, I feel like a lot of people in general, not even young people, kind of stay within kind of their region. So like for us, the UK or London,
yeah,
or like Europe even, or the West, we stay in the West, and news outlets kind of focus on the West because they would focus on themselves. That's kind of a natural thing to do. But like to stay on top of kind of current affairs, global news is so important because there's such difficult issues that need to be addressed. That have been going on for years, like conflict that's been going on for years that I hadn't even heard about until really recently. And it worries me so much because I'm not sure, but I think sometimes kind of the West tend to turn a blind eye.
Yeah, they pretend like things aren't going on.
And it just, our perception has been warped, and it's kind of narrow now because outlets in the UK, in the West, in the US, they seem to focus on things that will only affect them, but there's so many like humanitarian crises that have been going on for decades that we don't know of. So it's a really difficult thing to educate yourself, because the way that you educate yourself is really important. You need to look at things objectively instead of subjectively, but then how do you do that if everything you kind of experience has a bit of bias to it?
It's difficult. It's very difficult, but I completely agree with what you're saying about schools helping people when it comes to educating themselves. So the other day you were doing a debate about the partition of India, and it was really good. But one thing I was thinking about is, do enough young people have the opportunity to do these things? Like, do you think that schools and institutions are doing enough? Like, are they the ones to blame for us not being educated about ourselves, or is it not really their fault?
Yeah, there's kind of two sides to it. One is like yourself, your person, and you needing to kind of attempt to make yourself a better person. And in order to do that, you need to experience and do as many different things you can, because that's just how you grow as a person. That's growth. But at the same time, if the school you're in or whatever education or institute you're in, if they don't provide services that give you opportunities, how are you supposed to find them?
Yeah.
And I think that people should be actively like seeking ways to better themselves. But at the same time, if things are more exclusive and it's difficult to find like volunteer work, for example, or
work
like
experience,
debating clubs, then your reach is far less kind of you have a far less grip on kind of what you can do. And so I think that people should be actively seeking things that they want to do, that they're passionate about. But at the same time, schools really need to kind of put in the effort to provide such services to give students a well-rounded experience, because at the end of the day, I think intelligence is defined by well-roundedness. And if you're not a well-rounded person, to me, you seem closed off, or you seem not unwilling to try, but you haven't kind of
pushed yourself.
Yeah, you haven't tried to pursue anything more than kind of your threshold at the moment. And you should always try to push the boundaries just a bit more to see how far you can go, even if it's scary and it's new and different. It's always worth a try at doing something, because you never know what kind of message or experience or memory you can get out of anything that you do.
So in terms of inspiration, like, what inspires you to do the things you do? Because a lot of people find it hard to keep going, to keep helping people. So what for you makes you want to do and help people?
I think I have quite strong morals. So I personally believe that I should be of service to others, that my purpose is to help others. And even if that's helping in a classroom to trying to change laws, I think that people should always attempt to help others, because that's how communities flourish. Like, the only way for communities to flourish, to me, is for everyone to do their little bit to help others. But motivation comes and goes. I have times where I don't want to do anything. I feel hollow and numb. But it comes in kind of bursts, and to keep maintaining that, you need to set yourself goals, I think. To see your progress is really important, because you've seen how you've changed as a person. That's a really, really good thing. Because if you don't notice the change that has happened, then you feel like you're stuck. You feel the same. You don't feel any different, and that's not. It doesn't seem like you're pushing yourself, even though you are. And it's not. Motivation comes and goes, but you can always kind of ride it out until the next burst comes. I know that sometimes it feels like Citizens is just, it's long and it takes up my time, but then we have like an event every few months, and it just inspires me to do so much more. Do like set yourself like little things to do. I started doing playwriting with the National Theatre Scheme, and I set myself to write something once a week, anything, even if it's terrible. Because if you see from the start to the end how you've progressed, you will feel so much more content. You'll feel more pushed in a sense, and that's the best way to go forward, I think.
So in terms of the future, like, what do you want to get involved in? What do you want to do, and what do you want to see change in your community?
I personally think at the moment that in my community, housing is such a difficult thing, because there's such a big difference between the housing of the richest and the housing of the poorest. Like, we always go back and talk about Grenfell Tower, because that's such a tragedy, because in the same borough you have £1 million houses, but you have towers that were not properly built for fires. Like, one of the most common things that can have such a big and profound impact. Like at the storage unit the other day, people's possessions were up in flames, and that was absolutely terrifying to me. I think apathy is quite a big issue as well at the moment. So like the idea of not caring about anything, because if you're apathetic towards everything, it seems like you want to be isolated, and by isolating yourself, you're not helping your community, you're not helping yourself, and that's such a worrying thing to me. Yeah, and I think like people need to kind of understand and get to grips with how their kind of systems in society work. So like I know that politics is really difficult to like understand. I don't understand it at all. But kind of learning how voting works is such an important thing, because it gives you your say. Like you have to vote, and I don't even vote yet. I'm not old enough, but I can't stress enough.
If I could, I would, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's, at the end of the day, voting gives your say. And if you haven't put your say in, you can't have an opinion on how your government is run.
Yeah.
And that it leads to you being disgruntled and others feeling kind of without power, even though we do have the power to change things if we come together collectively to kind of create change.
Why do you think, and how do you think we can change this, but why do you think so many people choose to not vote? Like, a lot of people, they know when the election date is, they know the candidates, they even know what they want, but they still don't go out and vote. Why do you think that is?
It's like, honestly, it's absolutely absurd to me. I don't understand why people don't vote. It's just because it's your input, it's your one chance, a real chance to have such a big impact on the whole way your government works and the laws that will be implemented and put into place. Voting is like such an important thing, because democracy is such an important thing. Like having no right to vote is terrifying to me. Not having a say in how your government is run, how your life will be affected, is so scary. And I think it kind of boils down again to education and being educated in the field of politics. I know that it's horrible to learn about the in and outs of politics, but learning like the simples of like the party that you want to vote for, or all the parties, so you can make an educated kind of judgment on what you want to see in the future is such an important thing. I think if we started early by teaching kind of students while in school more about politics and the government, it would have such a profound impact on the voting system.
Do you think that parents and families do enough to educate their children about what's going on? Do you think it's even their job almost, or do you think they're doing fine, or it's not their job?
I think up until a certain age, parents have the responsibility to teach their kids about the world around them, because at those kind of early ages of nurturing a child, they need to kind of hear about the different things. Like if you don't read to your child, they don't kind of get the knowledge and understanding that they need from reading books. But then again, it is kind of down to yourself once again, because you yourself need to know kind of the importance of your worth.
Mm-hmm.
And I think your worth is so important when it comes to voting, because your voice is finally heard. You don't get that kind of option very often. You get it every few years, and it has such an impact. And it may not feel like it's just one vote. That's what people say. It's just one vote. My vote won't count. But if millions of people will say the same thing, then it's going to have such a huge kind of impact. Yeah, a huge impact on how the governments run. It's so weird to me. And I think that parents do have a responsibility to teach their kids. But again, it's down to your personal kind of vendetta in a way. It's up to you to kind of remain educated. But then again, it is so difficult in this day and age.
Yeah.
Because everything has been manipulated, and it's not easy to come across things that are strongly kind of neutral. We need like more neutral kind of things to look at. I know that like in America especially, like you see the huge discrepancies between the news networks like Fox News versus like CNN. I know that the people in the government at the moment in President Trump's kind of office will only talk to Fox News. That's so weird to me. We all know that Fox News is right wing, and so obviously they didn't be in favor of President Trump's kind of outlook. So yeah, I think kind of understanding how bias works is really important, first of all. And then talking to people is such an easy way of educating yourself, because you can gain different memories and experiences from them that you might not have necessarily experienced. And that's a really great thing, because you kind of know people on a more personal level that way. And you're also able to see your world in kind of different
eyes. Okay, thank you very much, Dior. I'm gonna let you go now.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me.
It's okay. Make sure like you research Citizens. I'll put your like Instagram and everything. So if you want to find out more about Citizens, contact Dior. Check them out. So yeah, thank you for that. Bye.
Bye.
So yeah, as I said, check out Citizens. Please like, comment and subscribe. If you want to be a part of this Phone a Friend series, please do contact us. Email me, DM us on Instagram, whatever you fancy. And thank you for listening. I can't be round that open strip. I need tense when you're lost.